Dr. Nathan Oakley, Deputy Director of K-12 Innovations, Accelerate Mississippi. Good morning, sir. How are you?
Good morning. Doing well, thank you.
Geez, a lot of things going on. First of all, the career coaching model. What is that about, and when does it happen?
Well, this is getting kicked off very shortly, actually, Paul.
Yeah.
We've spent the last couple of months standing up as the legislation passed in the spring. We knew this was coming, and so we've been standing up a third-party administrator to support the use of the dollars we need to deploy the coaches out into communities. And the RFA, the request for applications, is releasing this week. We anticipate it posting later today. And we'll have the opportunity for folks to be able to apply to put coaches out into high schools in the state to work directly along high school students to better understand their opportunities beyond high school, what those career opportunities look like, and how they can get positioned for success beyond high school.
I like the idea. Now, how many coaches are we talking about here?
So we have $8 million in funding for this. It was appropriated through the ARPA legislation. The legislature used federal dollars for this first year. We expect to be able to deploy all in about 80 coaches or so to individual communities across the state. This will not be a one coach per county solution, but rather we'll be deploying coaches where there's interest and a demand and a willingness from local schools to participate in the model.
What's your credentials to be one of these coaches?
So we're looking for folks that have experience either in education or economic development. They don't necessarily have to have an education degree at all. Really folks that are
life experience.
Life experience. They will likely have worked in a business or industry. Maybe they will have worked in a local school district as a guidance counselor and want to actually get into more of the direct one-on-one counseling and support for students beyond what they do as a counselor right now.
I still need more clarification.
Sure.
Is it something that a man or woman needs to be talking to these kids about on a specific industry, for instance, carpentry or automobile mechanics, or exactly what are they going to be coaching as far as career? Are they going to be telling them the amount of salaries, what the projection is for life earnings and things such as that?
All of the above.
All of the above.
As we look at as you look at students coming out of high school, there are opportunities in construction. There are opportunities in transportation, distribution, logistics, diesel mechanics, linemen, line worker programs. There's all kinds of opportunities. Or you may have students that want to go into medical school or want to become an attorney. And so each of those degrees or each of those pathways to a job doesn't require the same education beyond high school. So these career coaches will be helping individual students or small groups of students to understand if this is something you're interested in. So you're interested in using your hands and you're interested in working in an outdoor environment. Well, you might be interested in construction or building or welding, something in that field. And so they'll be able to help the students understand what the job market looks like in that area, what the salaries are for particular jobs in that area, and then what education is needed beyond high school.
Nathan, will they meet with these students collectively or individually?
Some of both. We've seen this model work in North Mississippi. Create Foundation is doing this in a number of schools in the northeast part of the state. And depending on how the school structure is set up and how the schedule is set up, there are coaches that work directly with individual students, helping them to understand what those pathways look like. And then there are times that they meet with a small group of students in a classroom, and they're working on resume writing skills or interview skills, and helping them to understand some of the different sectors for their jobs available in the state.
You taking this template from other states and something previous, or this is all new?
So this is a new venture for us as a state on the statewide rollout. North Mississippi, as I mentioned, with the Toyota Wellspring Fund, the large endowment that the Create Foundation is using, has been doing this for 4 or 5 years now. So we're looking closely at that model. Arkansas has done some similar work. There are some other states that are further down this pathway than us. So our goal here is not to recreate the wheel, but to take what has worked and replicate that.
Man, I think it's a great idea because you get a lot of students in there, and this is not going to be this is a voluntary, not mandatory, is it not?
Correct.
Do you meet during or after school, or during the school hours, or after school?
We anticipate they will be meeting with students during the school day as a part of the application. As a part of the application for local entities, community-based organizations, nonprofits. We owe workforce regions that will be applying for this. These will not be school district employees, but rather deployed to work inside the school and to partner with local business and industry, economic development organizations, to work alongside parents. But they'll be working closely with the students primarily during the school day. But we do anticipate they may be hosting events for parents at night, or meeting with the local Rotary Club, or meeting with the local business or industry leaders, so that they understand that there's an interest from the local school to have students deployed out into their business or into their job area.
So this is not a part-time deal. This is a full-time job.
These will be full-time.
Do we know what's the pay scale on this?
So when we put the application or put the budget together for the legislature, we projected a salary in the $45,000-$50,000 range. Mm-hmm. I think we budgeted for fringe benefits on top of that. So it's a competitive opportunity for some folks. There may be retirees that are interested, or there may be folks that are looking for a second career.
I think for retirees who have a lot of life experience, man, maybe even in teaching or construction or whatever it happens to be, this will be perfect. And it's a way for them to give back to the next generation.
I think we will see folks that have a desire and a keen interest to work directly alongside students and to really make an impact in a student's or in a group of students' lives, and to be able to focus closely on that mentoring, coaching, and building those connections.
How long do you think this $8 million is going to last as the future? So
the legislature gave us 1-year funding through ARPA, and we are hopeful to see this grow and hopefully eventually become something that we can fund in a more permanent structure.
So you think it's going to take about $8 million a year for the coaches?
If we were to deploy about 80 coaches or so with salary, fringe, travel, equipment, resources to work alongside students, we can coach roughly 225 to 250 students with each coach. If you want to really get impact, and we saw this when I was with the Department of Ed, you've got to be deliberate in how far you stretch your coaches. When we put coaches into schools working with teachers, we wanted to make sure that those coaches were able to really impact instruction with the teachers. And we want to see the same thing here with the career coaches, that we don't stretch them too thin.
Yeah. Did you put this together with some acquiescence from schools who said, we want to sign on to this?
We have heard from a number of schools who are keenly interested in having this kind of support. Absolutely.
But they haven't committed yet.
So they have not committed. Actually, when the RFA goes out, when the request for application goes out, we'll be asking for those local entities to apply. And as a part of that application, they'll be identifying the schools where they want to deploy coaches. There'll be some commitments there from the school to say, yes, we're going to allow access to come in and work with our students. We're going to provide you space to be able to do that.
To make this clear, though, Nathan, there's no competition between whether someone wants to go through a skills or a trade school, community college, or even college. It's what that child wants and the method to get him or her to that career choice.
That's exactly right. We have argued for a while there is no wrong pathway beyond high school. Any pathway that leads to a meaningful job where you can give back to your community and can provide for a family, we ought to be honoring of that.
I love it because a kid can come up and say, look, this is what I really want to do. And then go to someone who has the knowledge to set that out and to tell them at the end of the day what the path is going to pay, retirement, what you will face, the education you need to achieve that. It's a great idea. It takes an idea and makes it tangible where a kid can say, now we talk about this, but what grades are we talking about?
We'll be focusing primarily on high school. 10th, 11th, 12th grade is where we anticipate most of this work going on. Those students are in a position where they can go into potentially work-based learning experiences in local businesses.
What's the timeline on this one as far as actually having it happen in schools? So
our goal is for that RFA, again, we should be posting later today. Deadline for application on those is August the 5th. And we'll be rating those, getting announcements made early August, and then those applicants will be hiring coaches, and we're targeting an early September, shortly after Labor Day, deployment of coaches.
You got to do this on the internet as far as sending resumes on the internet, or what?
We will be working those through. We're working with Horn Group here in Jackson as our third-party administrator, but we'll be taking the applications online.
Sure, there's going to be a background check, of course.
That's a part of the requirement for those coaches. Is they meet the background check as the Department of Education lays out.
Mississippi Horizon Symposium, we'll talk about that, some recent wins, and also the Mississippi Gulf Coast Community College tie-in with Sports Illustrated Resort. Dr. Nathan Oakley is going to fill us in on all of that on a busy Monday. Coming up next. All right, back to our interview. Let me go back and tie a bow in this the coaching thing. For anybody who wants to be a coach or a school that wants to sign on, look at all the everything, is it all on the website?
So it will be posted. I'll actually be speaking to a group of superintendents tomorrow to give them some additional information. And if there are districts that are interested, they'll need to reach out and work alongside a local economic development foundation, one of their WIOA workforce regions. Our WIOA regions cover the entire state, but those local entities or regional entities will be the grantees, will be the grant recipients that will manage the program and will deploy the coaches. We expect that once the grants are awarded, that pretty quickly those grantees will be advertising and getting the positions filled.
So you're saying on each individual school district there will be some information on their websites?
There will be information going to the school districts that are interested in participating. But the information will be posted from our site. We'll be sending an email out later today and blasting that information out via social media as well, I expect.
The symposium itself, called the Horizon Symposium.
So we are hosting a workforce development 3-day symposium in September 6th through 8th, here in the Jackson area. We'll be out in Flowood. We see this as kind of the premier event to bring together educators, economic developers, policymakers, on the education side from across K-12 through post-secondary. As you mentioned earlier, this is not just community colleges, but IHLs as well, our four-year universities in the state. Our goal here is to improve the workforce, and that's one of the reasons that the career coaching model is being deployed. We've got a large number of students that don't know what the opportunities look like for careers beyond high school, and they don't know of the opportunities that are right there in their backyard and maybe exactly what's required to get there. And so
that's why this is so good, Nathan, because there are many cases where it's not singularly, it's a binary situation where you would go from maybe a trade school to community college or community college later on to a four-year college or whatever it happens to be. It's not exclusive to just one thing. It could be you might want to take it to the next level. As I mentioned to some people, now with distant learning, all of that is available in more ways than one.
It is, and our goal here is to bring together these what have been maybe siloed efforts in the past, where we've not had a strong connection between K-12, college, industry. They've not spoken each other's language, and so we're trying to stand up some structures through the symposium, through our ecosystem model, where we've got local groups meeting from across these job sectors, from across business, industry, and education. And economic development, to really identify local challenges, local needs, local opportunities, and to better connect the students or the interested individuals that want to get a job in that area with the opportunities that are available.
Who should come to the symposium?
So the symposium, we are trying to target policymakers. We anticipate another busy legislative session in the coming year. We were pleased with the progress we made as a state this past year. We actually, in talking with some other states, House Bill 1388 that passed in the spring actually positions us better than a number of other states as we start to look at kind of the return on investment of our career tech programs and what we're really getting for the money that we're investing in our career tech programs, because we're looking at K-12 and post-secondary as a part of that going forward.
Go ahead, sir.
But not just policymakers, but also educators, folks that work in economic development. We'll be bringing our career coaches and ecosystem table members in, trying to help them connect with each other and better understand the kind of this overall landscape that we're looking at.
You know, I think I asked Ryan this many visits ago, but I think people at your level in Accelerate Mississippi and in the government offices, we have a pretty good handle on which counties, which areas of the state are doing a better job than others. And a lot of this has to do with local leadership. Everything is there for them, and if it's not there, they need to reach out and ask for it. But it is, and I mean, somewhere down the line, you can lead a horse to water, but some of these people are just not being proactive, period. And some people, you take Northeast Mississippi over in the Starkville area, these folks are just maximizing it.
You're talking about Starkville. You're in my heart now, Paul. I grew up on a dairy farm outside of Starkville, and so that is a sweet place. Love it.
I'm not sure if Joe Max is drinking that milk, but I mean, you got to calm that guy down.
Well, there's some tremendous interest in the Golden Triangle
area. A lot of people out there.
It's been good to watch it.
Okay,
to watch it grow.
So when is it again, and where's it going to be? And I think you said September the 5th through 8th, or what?
September 6th through 8th. It'll
6th
be
through 8th.
at the Refuge Hotel off Airport Road in Flowood. Yep. It'll start the afternoon of Tuesday the 6th. It'll run all day Wednesday and until midday on Thursday of that week.
You got some speakers you want to mention, or
we'll have? There's soon to be announced additional information. We've got a number of keynotes. We'll have a series of panel discussions. We'll be focusing on across the continuum, again, sessions that are trying to target specific populations like single moms or like previously incarcerated justice-involved individuals, and working with corrections. Sessions for educators, sessions for policymakers, sessions for economic developers as well, so we can all kind of get better at what we're doing.
Yeah. Is there a cost?
There's a cost. The early bird rate is $295 registration.
That's not hotels. That's just cost.
That's the registration fee for the conference. So we got to be able to cover our costs with regard to the use of the space.
We were talking about some recent wins, and I was looking at this Buc-ee's, and that's not a recent win. They had announced that a long time ago, but I was just reading this. Who would have thought? By the way, these people are not public. This is privately owned. Who would have thought about making a gas station a tourist attraction? It just blows my mind. But the one that they've announced in Pass Christiane's 140-acre mixed use. I don't think they're not going to be using the whole 140, but there will be some commercial buildings, businesses, and other things, kind of a little village there. But they are known for their beaver nuggets. It is. They have all kind of shops within this thing. Have you ever been to one?
We've been to a Buc-ee's, actually. First time I stopped was probably 3 years ago, maybe.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of fun. It's a remarkable place.
We were last time we were on vacation. We saw the sign and we were going to do it, and we took the. It was so far out of the way we decided not to do it. But I mean, you know what one of their mottos is? Potty like a rock star. Now, why is that?
Some of the biggest, cleanest restrooms you can find.
That's it.
It's as nice as a green room, Paul.
That is it. A potty like a rock star. When you have your service station, your convenience store, it is the world's largest convenience store. They are also labeled as that. But speak to me, Nathan, about some of the other wins. We talked about the Gulf Coast on this one. But that Sports Illustrated thing is a big win, too.
I guess there's a potential Sports Illustrated branded hotel resort coming to the Gulf Coast. Don't know all the details yet. I think they're still working through that.
Who is that now?
It's a Sports Illustrated hotel that's supposed to.
Oh, I thought. Okay, okay. I'm sorry.
Supposed to land at D'Iberville, maybe at the I-10-110 intersection.
Right.
We see it from our perspective as I guess an investment in social infrastructure. When you talk about what draws an individual to a community and what keeps a person in a community, you see things like the Brandon Amphitheater here in Jackson, or I saw an article last week about a Golf Suites, kind of a top golf competitor,
right?
That's potentially opening in the Madison area or coming this direction. So those are social infrastructure kinds of pieces that create a sense of community, that draw people in, and that will keep them there. When there's good jobs there, when there's things to do in your free time, those are the kind of things that we like to see communities pursuing to be able to create a sense of place for their people.
Then we have that Oregon business that actually is moving out of Oregon, moving to Starkville. I thought, and we were talking to the mayor last week about that.
Columbia Industries doing solid waste work and also some oil field equipment.
Absolutely incredible. I'll give you the final say coming up in a moment or two in the final segment with Dr. Nathan Oakley, Deputy Director for K-12 Innovations. All right, let's get back. Final segment here, Dr. Nathan Oakley. I did want to ask you this as far as how does the Gulf Coast Community College play into this as far as the big resort, Sports Illustrated Resort?
Gulf Coast does a lot of training, as do all of our community colleges. We've got an extensive community college system across the state, as you're well aware. But Gulf Coast, we anticipate if this comes to fruition, we'll have folks that are coming through hospitality and tourism programs, culinary arts programs, industrial maintenance kinds of programs. You'll have all kinds of careers nested at that resort, where you'll have folks from the community colleges that are coming through for training and getting prepped to go to work.
culinary schools. We have several in the state of Mississippi that are just privately owned, but I do believe also some colleges are.
There are some colleges that are
doing a great job at that.
There are. There are places in the state where that's a viable career path.
Yeah.
There's enough restaurant industry and hospitality industry in that particular region of the state that could pay a livable wage.
When you look forward to the 2023 session, what's the objective as far as Accelerate Mississippi and some of the things that you'd like to see?
We want to make it through the session unscathed, Paul. How's that? No, we are a small office. There's 7 of us in the office full time right now. But our goal going to the upcoming year, we spent a lot of time over the last year or so spending trying to build relationships with community colleges, with some of the other partners that are doing similar work in the state. And so as we look at the Horizons Conference or this Horizons Symposium, we'll be spending some time around in policy discussion and what are the topics we want to tackle. One of the big topics that we have heard closely from or very directly from the colleges over the last few months is this idea of dual credit and how the dual credit courses for students in high school are funded. There's a bunch of different models right now. The colleges typically offer some sort of discount for students in high school to take those community college courses for both high school and college credit. But that's been a concern of the colleges as we've looked at the career tech side and trying to better link our high school career tech courses into community colleges. Yeah. So I anticipate one of the things that we'll be trying to dig in on over the course of the fall is how do we equitably, fairly structure that? Is there legislation that's needed? Is this just a matter of K-12 and community colleges sitting down and coming up with a solution absent legislation? But that is a piece that could potentially be kind of on the policy front for the upcoming session.
You may have to answer this in a political way, but does the fact that there is no new person permanently sitting in the community college board as president, I don't believe that has been made yet, has it?
I think Kel Smith is serving as interim, has been there since maybe July or August of last year.
You have an interim there. You also have an interim as far as the state superintendent of education?
Correct. Dr. Kim
Does that hamper you a little bit?
I wouldn't say it hampers us. We've got a great relationship with both of those folks, with staff at both organizations or both agencies, and so we're just continuing to move ahead. Good. We're just very pleased with the way things are going.
Final thoughts, sir.
It's a great day to be doing this work. I've worked in education for almost 25 years now, and from a classroom teacher to a school administrator.
Where was that first job?
Yeah, I taught at Crystal Springs High School in the fall of 1998.
Do they have the plaque there, or is your name in the bathroom stall?
Probably the latter. There's not a plaque there, but I've been in Mississippi my entire life.
Yeah.
Taught in the central part of the state for a number of years, and then spent some time at the Department of Ed. But
well, thank you for your service.
About what we're doing.
What class? What grade?
Oh, I taught 9 through 12,
9 through 12.
And then taught 5th grade. I've worked the continuum. Taught high school, taught middle school and high school in Forest over in Scott County, and then was a high school and an elementary administrator.
What do you think the legislature's record pay increase is going to do for the teacher base in the state in the future? It's
exciting to see it, knowing that we've got individuals that are committing their lives to working with students and to creating better opportunities for them. It's well deserved. I would argue.
Yeah, I agree. Sir, thank you so very much. I appreciate it, and look forward to an update a little bit later on.